Welcome back. Trucks about to roll out onto the racetrack. They're all in line, getting ready for 150 laps, 225 miles at Kentucky Speedway. Last week we said it was the coldest race we had had all season. Well, we broke that record. 48 degrees. The temperature forecasted for this evening, 36 degrees. Check out the fans sitting around the campfires on the backstretch. Across the top of the screen will be the starting grid for tonight's race. Austin Dillon grabbing the pole once again, the 5th time this season. Ron Hornaday will start on his outside when the green flag flies. They'll make up row number 1. We want to take a look at the particulars of this racetrack and the Camping World track description race analysis.
You can see a mile and a half. We're going to go 150 laps. The 14-degree banking in the corners, that is so deceptive. You go running down into these corners at 180 some miles an hour, they look pretty flat, but somehow these dudes get them around there.
And Michael, there's a lot of bumps on both ends of the racetrack. As a matter of fact, some of the drivers say the bumps are worse now in 3 and 4 than they were when we were back here in July just 2 or 3 months ago.
We're going to stock them up side by side and tell them to go wide open for a few laps. That's what I like. That's fun.
Pit window approximately 52 to 58 laps. Again, this one going 150 laps. The trucks are rolling out onto the racetrack. Now we want to shine a spotlight on a few different drivers in our speed spotlight. We'll begin with Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. I certainly want to take a look at Brian Eichler tonight. He's a young driver who's making his 21st start in this series. He's finished 5th, 4th, and 3rd. Those numbers are very, very good. And when you look at other things he's done in his career, how about 7 wins in the K&N Pro Series divisions? But I have to tell you, he knows the pressure is on tonight. Not only because Kyle Busch won here in the spring, but because this is a great race team, and he has Eric Phillips calling the shots for him tonight. I think there's a pretty good chance that the 18 will be a contender to give Brian Eichler his first ever victory in trucks tonight. Hermie?
Well, Ray, the 17 truck of Timothy Peters and Red Horse Racing stand for everything that's right about Camping World Truck Series racing. This team has run the majority of the last couple seasons unsponsored, and it continuously put a competitive truck and team on the racetrack. Well, that eventually led to sponsorship from Service Central. They are a contender every week. Timothy Peters is 4th in points. He qualified 13th tonight, but he has 3 career wins, looking for a career win number 4 and a surge to head back to the top of the point standings. Phil?
Hermie, let's shine a spotlight on 19-year-old Ty Dillon. Austin's younger brother has dominated the ARCA Racing Series this year, winning 7 out of the 17 races. He will win the championship just by starting the final 2 races. Guys, this is the first time the Dillons have raced together in NASCAR, but not the first time they've raced here in Kentucky. Back in 2006, you see that little quarter mile right there? Ty spun Austin out on the last lap of a Bandolero race here. Austin punched Ty after the race. Mom Tina had to get in the middle and separate them, and the boys didn't speak to each other all the way home. Let's hope tonight turns out a little bit better than that. Ty will start this race from the 15th spot, Mikey.
Sound like they're on good terms today. They're not going to be running into each other. Let's turn our speed spotlight toward the pride of Powhatan, Virginia, Jason White. Like me, Jason loves Kentucky. Last year, Jay was 4th here. And this past July, he had a shot to win. He was all over eventual winner Kyle Busch late in the going before falling to 5th. Jason told me he could taste the win that night, and that taste has made him hungry. Hungry for another shot at winning. Jason rolls off 19th in his gunbroker.com Chevy.
Well, Mikey, let's stay with Jason White because he'll be carrying one of our onboard cameras. We'll be able to see from his perspective what it's like going over 180 miles an hour around this racetrack. He will start 19th today.
We're also going to ride along with Johnny Sauter. Johnny had a great opportunity to win this race here last time. Broke an axle on pit road. Johnny will start this race from the 17th spot.
Let's hop on board with Matt Crafton, another cat who had a shot at winning this race in July. You can see Matt shaking things around. He's going to start from the back of the pack. They had to change an engine. We heard him talking after qualifying. He thinks it's going to blow up. They made the change. So it says he's starting 6th. He's actually starting last. This could be fun to watch, too.
It will be interesting. It'll also be a good perspective starting from the front with the Funai on board. That is driven by Austin Dillon. He starts on the pole again. It's his 12th career pole in the Camping World Truck Series. He will lead the field to the green flag tonight.
That shot right there makes me want to race. That's what it's all about right there. On the pole, he's got the good truck. The lights are on. We're ready to go. That's a great feeling.
Well, how do you win at Kentucky Speedway, and how do you win in the Camping World Truck Series? We've got to find out what the recipe for success is. We'll go to our Walmart recipe for success, and we start with Ray.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, I think having a teammate could be a big factor in tonight's race, and that may be the recipe for success of getting a win. You know, the Truck Series is starting to look like Sprint Cup. Check out all these teams that have 3 entries tonight. How about Turner's, Thorsport, and KHI? But I also want to add RCR to that list. You know, officially, Ty Dillon in that 21 truck tonight is really driving a Kevin Harvick Incorporated entry, but not really. It's really an RCR entry. This is his team from the ARCA series that's here supporting him. It's an RCR truck, and I think that RCR will be the team to beat tonight here in Kentucky. Hermie?
Well, Ray, if July, the race here in Kentucky, was any indication, not only do you have to be fast under green, you've got to be good on restarts as well. We saw a lot of restarts in the last 15, 20 laps of the race here in July, and it had a tremendous effect on the outcome of that race. Add to the fact that it's a lot cooler here tonight. Restarts and the experience of how to get through the gears on a restart late in this race may be the difference of going to victory lane or going to the truck.
Thanks, Hermie. Again, Austin Dillon and Ron Hornaday making up row number 1. Always at the start of these races, you think about, okay, turn 1. How are they going to decide who's going to be where when they get into turn number 1, especially on a really cold night like this when the tires don't have a lot of heat in them yet?
Yeah, the tires aren't up to operating temperature, obviously. This track is rough. You talked about in the opening, Phil. These guys are going to be bunched together side by side and nose to tail for the first time all weekend. So this is going to be a different feeling for these cats. And the first lap or two, it always makes me nervous because I know how loose these things can be and how difficult they can be to drive on the start.
And they're going to try to do it wide open. But look here now. Look at these guys all looking for win number 1. No Kevin Harvick in the field, no Kyle Busch in the field.
A lot of young guns.
You add all them together and they're about my age. That's what I love about the Truck Series, this youth movement. And this weekend, Ty Dillon joins in, another young guy with a shot at running up front.
I think NASCAR might have heard us talking about cold tires and what it's going to look like getting into turn number 1. They've said, let's go one more time around before we give them the green flag. So they'll take another lap around the 1.5 miles before the green flag flies. But we do have a lot of youth in this series, and we added another one tonight with Ty Dillon, another young kid coming into this series, getting a chance to move up into the upper tier of NASCAR.
And how impressive have these young drivers been here. We've got a great dogfight for the point championship between Austin Dillon and James Buescher right now. Veteran Johnny Sauter certainly still in it as well, and Timothy Peters and Ron Hornaday you can't really count out. But you see right there, Ty Dillon making his first ever start here. Such a great job this year in the ARCA Racing Series, and he's really excited about this race. Right. He told me he just wants to run all the laps. Wherever that finish happens, that's going to happen. He just wants to run all the laps and get that experience.
Yeah, I bet he told you that, but he's thinking, man, it'd be really cool to get a top 5 in my first ever truck race. And talking to his team and the guys down on pit road, they think maybe he's got a truck he can do just that with. So it'll be fun to watch and see how patient he is at the beginning and see if he can get with them at the end and run hard.
So we've got 6 races remaining. Our top 5 drivers in the point standing separated by 47 points, but that's not the only championship that's up for grabs. There's a driver's championship, there's a manufacturer's championship, an owner's championship. How about the Rookie of the Year championship also up for grabs?
Yeah, we've got a great point battle. Here's our top 4 right here. You know, you talk about the top 5 being the contention. Ron Hornaday right now is 47 points behind, but shoot, all the way back to 9th is only 68 points behind, only 21 points behind Ron Hornaday. This thing is wide open.
Look at those fresh faces and Johnny Sauter. He's the veteran in that group. Those young guys are have things under control at this moment.
Johnny looks pretty young too, I think, in that picture.
Let's have a fresh face.
Fresh face, father of 2. Getting ready to get underway from Kentucky Speedway. The pace truck has made its way off the racetrack and onto pit road. That leaves the field in the hands of Austin Dillon. Coming into the tri-oval. Green flag in the air, we're underway.
Great start by Austin Dillon. They're going to get down to this corner. Ron Hornaday's right up against him. They want to run these things wide open through here.
And the shortest way around is the bottom. Ron took advantage of that line and gained a bit of an edge over Austin Dillon.
Austin's going to pull back around the outside with the momentum from the top. Maybe clear Ron. No, Ron drives her in there hard.
To the bottom of the racetrack goes Hornaday. They stay side by side. Up the racetrack goes Hornaday in front of Austin Dillon. Dillon crosses back over to the bottom side of the racetrack, and he'll lead lap number 1.
How about Brian Eichler making it 3 wide?
3 wide to lead lap 1. Wow.
Eichler way up high now as they enter turn number 1. Trying to take the lead away. Hornaday in the middle. Austin Dillon down on the bottom of the racetrack. Down the backstretch they go, still trying to decide who's going to lead this race. And problems for the 88. He is on pit road on lap 1.
Remember, we reported that he changed an engine.
Take it behind the wall and take it behind the wall and change the gear, okay? People, get everything ready to change the gear,
Undoubtedly
okay?
still has the vibration that he felt in qualifying. I know they changed the engine and the transmission. They feel like it's still in the drivetrain, so they're going to change the rear end gear.
Man, that's disappointing for Matt Crafton.
Brian Eichler out in front of the field now. It's Ron Hornaday giving chase. Austin Dillon's dropped back to 3rd, and we see Parker Kligerman on pit road right now.
I say that's so disappointing, Phil. All you want to do is a chance to race. Let me see what I've got. These guys aren't even getting that chance. Maybe it's just a tire for Kligerman. He can get back out there and get with it.
Parker had a great 7th place qualifying run. Just put right side tires on that truck. But remember, with the new rules, the double foul restarts in the wave around, it's not a kiss of death for Parker right now.
But it is for Matt Crafton. He didn't even get his water good and hot, and he was on pit road. Oh, we got one going around.
Josh Richards into the outside wall.
The 51 of Josh Richards slams into the outside wall, brings out our first caution on lap number 4.
Looked like he was by himself. I didn't see any contact from any other trucks. That's going to be a great break for Parker Kligerman. More than likely, he will get an Aaron's lucky dog already. Just came back on the racetrack.
Bam, just like that.
Josh Richards was running in the 10th spot. Look at the damage to the back of that truck. Let's look at how it happened.
Oh, he's down a little bit on the inside of
David Starr, I believe.
And he just hits those bumps, goes up the hill a little bit. Didn't want to get into David Starr. Cranked that thing to the left a little bit, Bill, and away it went.
The second he turned left, the back end came around.
Did you see that contact with that outside? Well, man, that thing flew up in the air.
Another shot. You see him get loose there underneath the David Starr. Really difficult and challenging with these trucks to be on the inside, dead side by side with somebody. It robs so much air off that rear spoiler.
Let's go inside of Johnny Sauter's truck and ride along with Johnny and see what he sees. You can see Richards just up ahead. He gets loose. Look at Johnny. Whew. I'm going to hold it low.
Yeah, only out of the gas for a second. Gets right back in and knowing he needs to get by.
Yeah, once you know you're clear, you're better off getting in the gas to make sure nobody runs into you from behind.
So Josh Richards brings out our first caution. That takes place on lap number 4. It was 3 wide at the stripe, trying to figure out who was going to lead lap number 1.